Hey, welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for joining us today. This is a session over at Capital Casino in the 1-3 game. Got into some really interesting spots, and I happened to get some good reads on people that really helped me navigate through this tough session. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. All right, after about 30 minutes of folding and playing much of nothing, I pick up 7-8 suited. Side open for a raise to 15 in the +1 position. End up getting 3 callers. So we're going to go 4 ways to this flop with $61 in the pot. Flop comes out 9-8-5. For a moment I thought I flopped a straight, but then I realized I had 7-8 and not 6-7. I decided to check here just because this is a flop that shouldn't really hit my range. Ends up getting checked around. So I don't think anyone has too much. If they had a Jack-10, they probably would have bet the flop. So when the queen comes on the turn, I decided just to stab at this, trying to represent a queen. Opponent to my left thinks about it for quite some time before deciding to put in the call. When he takes this long to call, I'm putting him on a weak queen or maybe a possible flush draw. The other players fold out, and we get to see a river card of a 3 of clubs. Definitely misses all the draws, and if he has a weak queen, unless he had queen 3, I don't really expect him to bet. So my plan is to check it over to him. If he bets, it's most likely a bluff, because I don't really think he has anything strong at this point. So I check it over, seeing what he's going to do. He does put out a bet. It looks like a value bet. I'm definitely going to be calling, because what could he have? He wouldn't bet a queen with a bad kicker. So I call it. He said he was bluffing with King Jack, and I end up taking this one down. About 25 minutes later, I look down at 2 jacks from the +1, open for $20. Get a call from that same player who on my left and one other player. So we're going to end up going 3 ways to this flop with $64 in the middle. Flop comes out Queen 7-4. Not the greatest flop for jacks because there's an overcard. I decided to check it this time. I bet it a lot, but I have a feeling my opponent is going to be blasting off. And sure enough, he puts in a small bet. So here, I think there's a good chance that he doesn't have much. I decided to call his bet, and we get to see a turn card of a 10 of clubs. Again, I have no reason to bet here. I check it over to him. And again, he's making a bet. And again, I'm paying attention to exactly how he does this, because it's very similar to the previous hand when he was bluffing. I still think my jacks are good at this point because I think he doesn't have too much. So I put in the call, and we're going to go see a river card of an 8 of clubs, which completes a lot of possibilities. It makes a backdoor flush, it makes some possible straights, it makes some 2 pairs. I check it over to him, and that tell I had before is not present now. I'm going, okay. This might be trouble. He does decide to bet $100. Definitely not a good situation because I don't see that weakness tell that I saw on him before. The question is a lack of weakness tell of strength? Well, I decided to think about it for a while, see if I can pick up anything else. I do notice something a little bit different about it. And I'm not sure whether he means that he has a mediocre hand or whether he has a really strong hand. I don't know. I just decided he's tilted enough that there's a chance I'm wrong. I pay him off, and he shows that he had 5-6 for the straight. I'm in the big blind with King Jack offsuit. There were 5 limpers, so I just limp along. And we get to see a flop of King, Queen, Deuce. Player to my direct right in the small blind leads out for $15. I just put in the call, see what develops. We get a call from the player directly behind me, and then the player from the previous hand puts in the call as well. So we have 4 of us that get to see the turn card, which comes a jack. What a beautiful card that is. Now we got 2 pair. Player to my right leads out again for 45. There's now a straight draw and a flush draw out there, even a possible straight. So I need to clear the field. So I raise to 115. This should get most players to fold out anything they have, unless it's maybe the king of diamonds and another diamond. Anyway, the player on my direct left thinks for quite some time before deciding on folding his hand. And now it's to the player from the previous hand. And he takes some time as well. My opponent finally decides just to go all in. And here with two pair, this is a easy fold because of the tells I have. His weakness tell is gone. His strength tell is there. I figure the minimum he has here is king, queen, maybe a set of deuces or a straight. He shows he had pocket queens for a set. Hey guys, I want to talk about tells. Some people call them reads, live reads, whatever you want to call it. They're extremely useful. And I know you guys just want me just to give you all the information I have. And so you don't have to do the work. Unfortunately, you need to do the work because you'll discover more stuff than I even know. So instead of giving you a fish so you can eat for the day, I'm going to teach you how to fish so you can eat for a lifetime. So here you go. Basically, you're going to sit and watch everything they do. And you're going to spend hours watching them. And you're going to spend hours watching them when you're not even involved in the pot. You don't care about anything else but watching this particular player play. And watch how they bet, watch how they sit, watch how they talk, watch how they don't talk. And then when you see something that's different, you really got to find out what's different about it. It might take you a couple days, might take you a couple weeks, who knows, maybe even a month. But once you got it, you got it. Don't tell them well, you got it. Just keep that information to yourself. But once you got it, you got it. And then you pick someone else and you watch them. And pretty soon, your regular game, you're going to have a book on everyone you play against. And once you have a book, things become a lot easier. Anyway, learn how to fish. Don't ask for a handout. Learn how to fish. One player limps, player to my right raises to 20. I look down at two queens, make it 60. Everyone folds out except to the player on my right, and he puts in the call for the 60. So we're going heads up to this flop, which comes king 7-5. Not the greatest flop with two queens, especially when my opponent bets out for $45. Before we throw our cards in the muck, let's think about what he could have. He could have ace-king. Would he bet ace-king on this pot? No, he'd probably check it and let me bet it for him. Could he have king-queen suited perhaps? Well, I'm blocking a lot of that with my two queens, so there's only one combination of king-queen suited remaining, and, that's pretty slim. Could he have a bluff or a flush draw? Bluff, yes. Flush draw? Yeah. But I don't really think I'm beat yet, so I'm going to go ahead and put in the call and see what the turn card brings. And it is an 8 of diamonds. So now there's the flush draw got there. I hope he doesn't bet this time. And he decides to check. I'm happy to check this back. I have a queen high flush draw in case he does have that king. River card comes as an 8 of spades. Well, now if he had a king, he can kind of bet for value. And he does bet out for $80. Here, I'm thinking, what are the chances he's bluffing, and what are the chances he really has something? So I need to put 80 in to win 380. That seems like a good situation. But just to make sure, I have some table talk with my opponent. And from the table talk, I think that he's weaker than he's putting out to be. So it becomes an easy call, and I make it. As I push the chips in, he says, you got me, I was bluffing, and he rolls over ace-6. So we caught one. I'm about 2 hours into the session and basically dead even. Looked down at ace-8 of hearts after a couple limpers, raised to 15. Ended up getting 3 callers for the 15. So we're going to go 4 ways to this flop with $63 in the pot. Flop comes out pretty darn good. 9-8 deuce with 2 hearts. So we got middle pair, top kicker, and a flush draw. Players check to me. I continue for $25. This board is a little bit draw heavy. I should probably go a little bit larger, but since I have so much equity, I decided to go a little smaller. but in hindsight, I would probably want to make this 35 or 40 at least. I get one caller, and the turn card comes as a 3 of clubs. Since he called me on the first one, I figured he had some sort of draw. If he had a 9, he might raise. I decided to go a little bit larger, and he quickly folds. Some of you may have seen this hand on my short video. I have ace-king offsuit. There's a player who opened for 15 under the gun, and I raised to 45. Only the player from under the gun puts in the call, so we're going to be heads up to this flop with 94 in. Flop comes king, queen, 7, rainbow. Pretty good flop. He checks to me. I continue for $40. When he gets back to him, he takes a little time and then decides to put in the old-fashioned check raise to 125. Now, what kind of hands can he be doing this for value? Well, king, queen, pocket 7s. That's about it, really. So I'm definitely going to be calling. I don't think there's any need for me to re-raise. If he's bluffing, I want to continue to bluff. So I think about it for a moment and I put in the call. So heads up, going to the return card for $344, and it is another king. Well, that's good. Man, can't ask for a better card than that. Well, unless he has king, queen. He jams all in for $235. Well, not much I can do here. I'm definitely not going to be folding. I decided to get a good camera angle before I threw in the chip for the call. And there it is. So we're going to see the river card. We got 814 in the pot, and it comes another king. He says, I haven't even looked at my cards, and I tell him that you don't really need to. I think I got the high hand, and I roll over my ace king. So he pays me off, and yeah, that was easy. Well, that same opponent has been raising just about every hand, most of them in the dark. Here I have pocket 4s under the gun. I don't normally do this, but I decided to limp because I'm trying to see cheap flops, flop a set, get my money in, and get paid off. And it's not the ideal way to play poker, but in this situation with this type of player at the table, this is the way I'm going to be handling it. So I limp, a couple other people limp. He puts in a raise to 16. A bunch of people call for the 16, and we're going to go see a flop 5 ways with $80 in it. Flop, well, you might say it is above average. It comes out 10-8-4 with 2 diamonds. So I got bottom set with a maniac firing away. I check it. It gets checked around to the player who's been putting in all the action, and he makes a bet for $30. Nice bet. The player in the small blind puts in the quick call for the $30. Now, he probably has some sort of draw, like a flush draw or straight draw. I decide to put in the big raise now. Let's get the money in while the getting's good. Goes back around to the player who originally bet the $30. He thinks for only a few seconds before putting in the call for 100. What does he have? I have no idea. I'm not even sure whether he looked at his cards yet. Goes to the player in the small blind, and by the way he's acting, I'm sure he has some sort of flush draw, and he doesn't have a whole lot behind, and he decides to jam all in for an extra 60 some odd dollars. So naturally I put in the call for the $62 or so that it was, and the player in the final spot, he has about the same amount. He actually has like $14 more than that. So he wants to go all in. You're not really supposed to be opening the betting, but I'm not going to argue. I got a set, whatever. I'll put in the extra $14. So we're all in now, even though the betting wasn't absolutely correct. And we're going to go see a run out. All right, we're looking to dodge a diamond here. That's the one I'm worried about the most. Turn card comes, queen of clubs. All right, so far so good. River card comes, jack of diamonds. I show my set. Player in the small blind showed he had 7 deuce of diamonds, so he's going to take down the main pot. Well, maybe I'll get $28. Nope, my other opponent rolls over pocket 9s for a runner straight. Yeah. Well, you got to love the action, right? Well, this next hand, I'm in the big blind with 2 8s. So it raises to 17, and it comes back around to me. I put in the call for the 17, and we're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes Queen 7-4 with 2 clubs. I check to the raiser, he checks it, and then the next player puts in a small bet for $15. I am going to put in the call here. He could be betting a draw. Bet was too weak to really worry about. The other player behind me calls also. Turn card comes as a 6 of diamonds, so now I got a straight draw to go with my pair. We check to that player again. He bets again small for $30. I'm thinking about maybe even putting in a raise here, but I decided just to call. I hope it doesn't entice the player behind me to call, because I imagine he has like 2 big cards. He ends up folding, so I feel a little better now. River card comes, is not really great. It's a 3. So the good news is the clubs brick out. Bad news is he could possibly have a 5 for a straight. I check to him. Again, he bets for $45. Now, if he had a queen, I wouldn't really expect him to go for value here. And if he had a straight, I figured he'd bet a little bit more. So I'm thinking that he has a missed flush draw. Hopefully he doesn't have 2 pair. I put in the call, and he rolls over ace 7. So I don't know whether he was betting for value or not, but our 8s are better than his 7s, so this pot's coming our direction. So we ended up playing for a little over 5 hours, ended up cashing out for $440, which is all right. I mean, it was a long day, and I got put in some tough spots. Seems like every time I had a pair, there was an overcard to that pair, and my opponents were playing them aggressively. So had to make some tough decisions. Had some good reads that helped me out, and happy with the results. I really do appreciate your support. And if you have any questions about live tells or stuff like that, or how to start looking for them, just leave a little question down in the comments, and I'll try to answer it the best I can. Again, I'm not going to give you all the little specific tells that I find. I'll give you ideas of what to look for, and then you can find them on your own. And trust me, they're out there. You just have to look for them. So until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.